It finally came. It I had waited weeks, and now it was finally in my hands. Pokemon Soul Silver version. The second gen had always been a favorite of mine. My favorite of the first Johto games had always been Silver. I absolutely loved Lugia. It was my favorite of the two legendary Pokemon. I wasn't the biggest fan of Ho-Oh. It was okay, but Lugia could easily kick it to the curb with Hydro Pump. But I had lost my Silver version years ago. That's why I had anticipated the release of Soul Silver. I played through the game. I loved it so much. I even got a few Japanese Pokemon from a pen pal in Japan. But a year after the release, my family moved and Soul Silver was lost during the move. I wanted to lay in my bed and die, but I couldn't. School was about to start. The reality is, no matter how upset you are, life doesn't just stop dead in its tracks. It goes on, and you're in for the ride non-stop until the end of forever. But I'm digressing. I was forced to forget about it, until about a month after the move. I was going through some boxes in my closet. I picked up one box that had been sitting on the floor when something fell out of it. I looked at it. It was a small silver Nintendo DS game cartridge. The sticker was scratched up, as if someone had rubbed sandpaper across it, but I didn't need to read it to know what it was. It was my long-lost Soul Silver version. I almost squealed in joy. I snatched it up, grabbed my 3DS, pushed it in, and started it up. It started up normally, but when I got to the menu, the only option was New Game. I figured that my brother was playing around on it, and accidentally erased the file. He was in college, so he probably had never told me. Oh well. I had planned on starting a new game anyway. I hit the New Game button. I named myself Lyra, as that's the female character's name. But when I went into the game, something was off. Way off. The normal soundtrack wasn't playing, just pure silence. I walked downstairs. My character, I'm just going to call her Lyra because that is her name, walked towards her mom. When I saw the text, it shocked the crap out of me. This is what she said. "Valerie, run. Just run, don't stop. He'll come for you. Your Pokemon can't save you. Get away while you still can." Suddenly, the screen went black, like when you hear your Pokemon, but there was still no sound. Lyra's mom disappeared, but that's not what disturbed me the most. How did the game know my name? Even in the previous file, I didn't name my character Valerie. I always name my character their real name. For example, in Pokemon Red and Blue, I always name my character Red, my rival Blue. I brushed it off, thinking that the messed up audio was spooking me into seeing things. Lyra walked outside. Ethan's Meryl bumped into me, the soft thud being the only sound so far. Instead of Ethan coming to get it, Meryl began to speak. "Run. Now. He's coming," it said. All of a sudden, the screen went black, just like it did before, and Meryl disappeared. Ethan came running up to me. "Meryl? Where is... Oh no." With that, he ran away. Lyra continued on to the Pokemon lab. I chose Totodile as my starter Pokemon. It was a female. Lucky me, I thought. I named it Blue, after my female Feraligatr from the original Pokemon Silver version. I went to Cherry Grove City, healed Blue, and set off for Mr. Pokemon's house. When I walked in, instead of Mr. Pokemon Professor Oak being there, Lyra's rival, Silver, was there instead. When he approached me, he said, "If you're wondering where they are, he killed them. You were warned to run, but you didn't, and people died because of you. I'll just have to stop you myself." I was engaged in battle. The battle theme didn't play. The only sound that was heard was the sound of the Pokeballs being thrown. The only Pokemon that Silver had was a miserable-looking level 0 Chikorita. Its nickname was He's Coming. Blue easily took it out in one hit from scratch. When the battle ended, Silver said, "You will regret this." The screen went black once more, and Silver disappeared. When I walked outside, the world had completely changed. It looked similar to the Viridian Forest, but there were no trees. and it was covered with what appeared to be blood. Lyra began trekking through the blood-covered grass. Still no sound but the sound of her walking through the tall grass. About halfway down the path, it appeared as if something was walking behind Lyra in blue. She turned around, an exclamation mark appearing above her head. She began running down the path, apparently running from something. The thing was invisible, the movement in the grass being the only sign of it being there. The movement began getting closer. Lyra ran faster, but to no avail. I was scared to see what would happen when it caught up to her, but I couldn't turn it off. I had gone too far to stop them. Then, the thing finally caught up to her. She turned around. She fell on her back. The thing began ripping out her organs. The worst thing was, the blood didn't look like video game blood. It looked more realistic, not hyper-realistic, 'cause God knows what that means. It obviously wasn't real, but a bit more realistic than normal blood. I threw up. Lyra, being one of my favorite video game characters of all time, was now being disemboweled right on my Nintendo DS screen. After about 5 minutes of horrible blood and gore, the thing finally left. But to make matters worse, Blue began to eat Lyra's dead body. Suddenly, the screen went black for the final time. White letters began typing out across the screen at a very slow pace. The lettering spelled out, "The devil strikes silently and without warning." Even though my DS was still plugged into the charger, it turned off all of a sudden. I buried my face in the pillow and fell asleep until morning. When I woke up, I didn't hear the sound of my parents downstairs like usual. I walked downstairs into the kitchen. I found them, lying in pools of their own blood. Their organs had been ripped out and were laying on the floor beside them. I am sobbing as I write this. I know he's coming for me. It's only a matter of time. I never should have played that stupid game. The devil strikes silently and without warning.